What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining me in this video. This one's gonna be a little different than my normal videos, and I really do want to keep it short, but I doubt it's gonna be short because ya boys got some stuff to say. I feel like this video is very important for me to make because I don't think anybody else will take the time to make it. As most of you who are watching this video probably know by now, I am Assyrian, and I'm also a pretty big fan of Marvel. Now, to be clear, because I know there are some die-hard fans out there, I am a huge fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and, you know, like a medium level fan of the comics. Not that I don't like them, but as far as my knowledge extends, I would say I'm somewhere in the middle, maybe more towards the knowledgeable side. I only very recently got into going into the comic book shops and buying the books. So with that said, if you happen to be one of those die-hard fans, and you are very well read on the content I'm about to discuss, and I get anything wrong, please let me know in the comments below. Okay, so some of you may have already seen the trailer for the upcoming Marvel Studios film, The Eternals. That film features a hero that goes by the name of Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh, if you're in the know. Gilgamesh. But for the sake of this video, we're gonna call him Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh, as a lot of you may know, is the main protagonist in the classic literature titled The Epic of Gilgamesh. So, we have two dudes named Gilgamesh. Maybe it's just a coincidence, right? Maybe Marvel just named one of their characters Gilgamesh, but there's no actual relation to the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? Wrong! It is undeniable that the Gilgamesh from the Eternals is the same Gilgamesh from the Epic of Gilgamesh. They don't even try to hide it. Before we get into that, I'm going to give you a brief history on each version of the character so everyone's on the same page. Let's start with the Epic of Gilgamesh. And so I don't butcher it, I'm going to read this verbatim. I got this from ancientliterature.com. I'm gonna leave links below to all my sources so you guys know I'm not just full of it, all right? The Epic of Gilgamesh follows the story of Gilgamesh, the mythological hero king of Uruk, and his half-wild friend Enkidu, as they undertake a series of dangerous quests and adventures. The story then focuses on Gilgamesh's search for the secret of immortality after the death of his friend. Spoiler alert, if you haven't read the Epic of Gilgamesh, don't get too attached to the Enkidu character. And then there's Marvel's Gilgamesh. Once again, I'm going to read right from the source. This is from the Marvel.com character database. Literally, I went on Marvel.com and I searched Gilgamesh and this came up. So I'm not pulling this out of my ass, okay? Again, link down below if you don't believe me. The Eternal, Gilgamesh, most often known as, quote, the Forgotten One, held many names over the centuries, but his true name remains a mystery. Around 3000 BC, he became Gilgamesh, the king of Uruk, in the Middle East. He quested for eternal life, unaware that he was actually a member of the race of Eternals, able to live forever. I mean, I could stop right there. I could, but I'm gonna keep going. He was thought to be the heroes Samson and Hercules, and befriended men such as Achilles, Aeneas, and King David. Eventually, learning his true nature, the Forgotten One was confined to a corner of the eternal city Olympia by decree of the Eternals ruler, Zuras. Okay, I mean, need I say more? They literally admit right away that it is the same Gilgamesh from the Epic of Gilgamesh. In case you need more proof, here is a shot of him with his squad in front of none other than the gates of Ishtar in the trailer. In case you need more proof, here's a shot of him chilling in front of the gates of Ishtar within the trailer. Literally, the gates of Ishtar are like a prominent scene within the trailer. Now, to those of you who are familiar with the Eternals at all, this is probably not a big surprise because their whole shtick is that they are like plucked from various mythologies from around the world, right? A lot of them are gods or like characters that we know from mythology that interacted with gods. For example, they're led by Icarus. As you probably know, that's based on Icarus from Greek mythology, the flying man who had, crafted the wings and then got too close to the sun, melted the wings and he fell. He's the leader of the Eternals, at least according to the comics. I don't know how they're gonna handle it in the movie. Also from Greek mythology, there's an eternal named Athena, who's obviously Athena, the Greek goddess of war and wisdom and tactics. Those are just two examples that they've taken out of mythology that, in my opinion, they got right. There are a lot of other Eternals though. I think there are 100 Eternals and 100 Deviants, and I only know a handful of them. Like I said, I'm not very well versed in a lot of the comic stuff, period, let alone the Eternals. I did not know about the Eternals until the movie was starting to come out. I knew about Gilgamesh, I didn't know he was an Eternal though. Anyway, back to the point. I have no issue with them using Gilgamesh, just to be clear. The Epic of Gilgamesh is one of the oldest texts in human history, if not the oldest text in human history. So, you know, it's considered mythology at this point, and it's also considered public domain. So it's not like they don't have the legal right to use it. I'm not arguing that at all. And I mean, I guess you can say they picked up on the essence of Gilgamesh when they created Marvel's Gilgamesh. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, he's half god, half human, similar to like Hercules. So he's got super strength and he's like one of the best fighters in the world. I mean, it makes sense that he was made into a superhero, you know? Plus, I mean, Marvel's no stranger to taking mythological characters from various cultures and turning them into heroes. Hercules is a hero in the Marvel comics. The Egyptian god Horus is also in Marvel comics. And of course, we all know about Thor and Loki and the entire Norse mythology that they adapted into one of their most successful and well-known comics, right? But here's the thing, with those examples I just named, they got it right. They didn't get it 100% right. They definitely bent the rules, you know, and here and there to make their stories work. But for the most part, I think they got it pretty good, right? If nothing else, they gave credit where credit was due. Of the examples I just provided, the only live action depiction we have thus far, to my knowledge, is Thor. So, you know, let's take a look at how Thor is depicted by the culture that created him, the Norse culture, right? Let's see how he looks. Okay, now let's see how he was portrayed by Chris Hemsworth in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, other than like the red hair, I know according to Norse mythology, he's got red hair, I'm pretty sure. They got it pretty close. Now let's do the same thing with Gilgamesh. Let's see how he's portrayed traditionally, or how he was portrayed before Marvel took him. Okay, you know, got the beard, got the dark skin, Middle Eastern dude. Now let's look at his MCU depiction. He's Asian. Gilgamesh is being portrayed by Don Lee, an actor of Korean descent. Korean! Gilgamesh is Middle Eastern. So I ask you this, how is this not cultural appropriation? Seriously, how? It's blatant cultural appropriation. And here's the thing, to be honest, I typically don't care about the whole issue of cultural appropriation. It never really bothers me. Even when Assyrians, though it's not often, when Assyrians are the victim of it, hell, I even kind of, not enjoy it, but I appreciate it to some degree, just to know that people outside of our culture give a damn about our culture. You know, does that make sense? But people at large, like the general population, have made a big stink about when it happens in other movies and other media. It happened with like Prince of Persia when Jake Gyllenhaal played the title character, but he wasn't Persian. It happened with Ghost in the Shell when Scarlett Johansson played the main character instead of like a Japanese woman. I can go, the list goes on, but you get the point. But here's the thing, when it's happened before, the cultures that were being appropriated already had a lot of representation in the world. They already have a voice. They already have a global presence. People know who they are. How do I put this? If you're Korean, right? Or if you're Japanese, or if you're Persian, you can just tell someone, I am Persian, I am Korean, I am Japanese. And they're not gonna be like, what? What's that? Do you mean something else? I thought y'all were dead. That's something that happens to Assyrians. I'm sure there's other cultures out there that it happens to, but that happens with Assyrians, to me, regularly, to the point where like, when a person outside of our culture asks what I am, I'm like, I always like, my eye twitches a little bit every time, just a little bit every time. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Assyrians have nothing. We have nothing. We have Benil Dariush and Patrick Bet David. They're the only ones holding it down at this point. Now, I fully understand that in the comics that feature him, he doesn't necessarily look Middle Eastern. So this is the issue that I first saw him in when I was browsing the comics. This is Avengers Spotlight, and it's the return of triumphant Gilgamesh. He doesn't not look Middle Eastern, you know? He's got the brown hair, you know, he's jacked, he's wearing a skirt. I don't know. The newer depictions kind of show him like this. He's rocking like this black suit, so you can't really even tell what he looks like. But I can excuse those because they were made in a different time. But right now it's 2021. You cannot go on social media, period, without being berated about representation this and representation that. So imagine in the year 2021, if they cast Don Lee to play T'Challa in Black Panther, huh? Or if they hired Zac Efron to play Shang-Chi in the upcoming Shang-Chi film. It would be ridiculous, right? There would be an outrage, and rightfully so. Because that would clearly be wrong and clearly be insulting. And in the case of the Epic of Gilgamesh, we're talking about a real piece of mythology from Assyrian culture. Then it's not just Assyrian culture, it's Mesopotamian, he was Sumerian. Show me where there are other Mesopotamians still around. Show me the Sumerian population. Show me the Babylonian population. It's Assyrians, my guy. He was our hero too, so unless you show me the Sumerian population living somewhere in the world, actual Sumerian, speaking Sumerian, making Sumerian food, and all that jazz, don't come at me with that. Don't even try to come at me with that. Anyway, this is a real piece of mythology we're talking about. And I'm comparing it to, I mean, let's call it what it is. It's fake stuff. Black Panther, Shang-Chi, these are not real pieces of history that are ancient. I mean, they are a piece of cultural history now, in the past, 50 some years, but we're comparing it to something that's thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. In addition, it's not like we Assyrians have a lot of stuff to pick from, okay? Gilgamesh is like the thing. It's like the hero from our mythology. And the fact that Disney has like taken it and culturally appropriated it this bad, it's blood boiling. Now you might be saying,
Dan, why can't Asians have representation too?
I am totally with you. But like I just said, they already have representation. Shang-Chi is coming out right around the corner where the title hero is Chinese. Even if that's all they have, it's one more than Assyrians have.
But Dan, what if they wanted an Asian in the Eternals?
Wow, that's a good point. Except that there already is an Asian Eternal, you brain-dead dingbat. I am holding an issue of the Eternals right now that features Gilgamesh himself being interrogated by, ding ding ding, an Asian Eternal named Kingo, who is literally a samurai-inspired Eternal from Japan. Don't believe me? You don't have to. Here's a clip from a video produced by Marvel explaining who everybody is.
We got Kingo, who learned all kinds of samurai skills on Earth, but also became a movie star.
Action.
By the way, in that same video, they do mention Gilgamesh. Here's what they said.
We've got Gilgamesh, who shares his name with an ancient Sumerian king.
I mean, there was literally no excuse for this. I really don't understand. My only hope at this point, and this is the stretch, what if Don Lee actually is Kingo and he's impersonating Gilgamesh for some reason? Maybe halfway through the movie, Don Lee will be like, I'm not Gilgamesh, that's Gilgamesh. And boom, out walks Benil Dariush playing Gilgamesh. That would be, damn it, that would be dope. A boy can dream. And before anyone tries to call me out on it, I understand there's a shred of irony with me talking about this issue while I'm running Divinity Activewear, which, contains designs that feature gods from other cultures. But again, my beef is not with Disney using Gilgamesh. My beef is that they got it this wrong. Whenever I put out a new design for Divinity, the amount of research I do to make sure I get it right is insane. That is all I ask of Disney. Just do your damn research. If you would have done that, you would have made the Assyrian community so happy. I guarantee you, if they did it correctly, Assyrians would be blowing up in anticipation for this movie. We would be going to the theaters in droves, watching Gilgamesh kick ass alongside the other Eternals. And I mean, you know, it is what it is. It's Marvel, it's Disney. I'm kidding myself if I try to think they're not gonna make a ton of money off this movie. I totally get that. I know this video is not gonna impact them in the least, but at least by putting this video out, some people might be made aware of what they did in order to get that money. Let me also be clear on something else. I love the MCU, like I said in the beginning. The entire Infinity Saga, this is not hyperbole. From starting at Iron Man, going to Endgame, that series of movies is one of the greatest cinematic accomplishments, I think, in human history. And the fact that they're continuing that same story with their new movies and their shows is also very impressive. But Kevin Feige, who's the director of the Eternals and who's been like the main man leading the MCU, you know, for a while now, he said himself, I'm gonna read it again, just so I don't butcher the quote. He said, "I think the Eternals, is extremely well done, and I look forward to the level of inclusion in our future movies being less of a topic." Okay, where's our inclusion, my guy? You took our history and you just took us off of it and then you used it. Here's another quote, according to The Direct, okay? The website's called The Direct. In a new interview with The Hollywood Reporter, several individuals from the Eternals spoke about the film's push for diversity. This includes the film's director, he's not the director, he's the producer, I think. Yeah, he's the producer, my bad. This includes the film's director, Chloe Zhao, star Kumail Nanjiani, you know who he is. And the president of Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige. Feige, he's the president. So he's really running things. I didn't even know that, damn. Kevin Feige spoke about how the film's inclusion of an LGBTQ+ relationship and how it, quote, was always sort of inherent in the story and the makeup of the different types of Eternals. Brian Tyree Henry, who plays Phastos in the film, will be the first gay superhero in the MCU. Feige also spoke about the future of the MCU and how the franchise would make an effort to normalize this kind of diversity. Quote, "I think it is extremely well done and I look forward to the level," I already read that one. So he's talking about how important inclusion is and all that diversity. So either Feige and his team are liars or they just don't give a shit about Assyrians. Call me crazy, but I'm leaning towards the latter because sadly, most of the world falls into that category. And on that uplifting note, we are going to end the video. If you are a comic book aficionado and you are extremely well read on the Eternals, let me know. Do you agree with what I'm saying here in this video or did I get it wrong? Because I really want to know. If it turns out that they're actually staying true to the comics and like the Marvel Studios direct, current team is not to blame, but instead it was like the writers of Gilgamesh, let me know. But then again, I wouldn't even use that as an excuse because they changed so many things now. They gender swap, they race swap. They could have at least easily just made him Middle Eastern. Just throw a beard on him. How hard would that have been? Just to throw a beard on Gilgamesh. A beard! That's all I'm saying. Just a beard. Anyway, if you're interested in grabbing some Gilgamesh merch that's true to the actual identity and culture and mythos of Gilgamesh, check out Divinity Activewear, link down below. If you use promo code DAN, you'll save, how much they saving? Hang on, I don't know how much y'all are saving. 10% off your entire order. Depending on when you're watching this video, there's probably a different sale going on because I'm always running sales. So there's a good chance you can save more than 10%, but if you happen to not find a deal on this shirt, for example, use promo code DAN, you'll save 10%. Thank you for watching, everybody. If you made it this far, remember to like and subscribe. Share it with a friend if you think there's someone else that might be interested in knowing about this. And as always, remember to stay safe, stay positive, and most importantly, stop stealing our shit, Marvel! Just kidding. Stay sexy, y'all.